The auction sign is still in the yard when I pull up to my childhood home. I step out of my car slowly, heels crunching against the gravel driveway my dad once forced me to rake every Saturday morning. Through the living room window, I see them laughing. My mother is sitting on the same beige couch we couldn't afford to replace for 15 years. My father is holding a glass of wine, pointing at the walls like he owns the memories inside them. They don't know I own this entire street now. I push the front door open without knocking. My mother turns first. Her smile disappears instantly. My dad stands up, confused. "I'm sorry," he says. "This is private property." I smile. "Yeah," I say, "it is." And then I pull the ownership papers from my bag. My name is Zoey Martinez. I'm 26, and I'm telling this because the people who raised me thought they could erase me from my own life. I grew up in Mesa, Arizona, in a small single-story house at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. It wasn't a happy home. It was a controlled one. My father believed children were investments. My mother believed appearances mattered more than feelings. Together, they treated me like a financial mistake they were forced to keep. "Everything we do is for you," my mom used to say. But somehow, nothing was ever actually for me. When I was 16, I got my first job at a grocery store. My dad took half my paycheck for rent. When I got a scholarship to a state college, my mom complained that it wasn't prestigious enough. Nothing I did was ever right. Nothing I was ever mattered. But the house mattered to me. It was the only place where I had memories that felt real. The lemon tree in the backyard where I studied for exams. The hallway where I measured my height every birthday. The chipped kitchen counter where my grandmother used to bake cookies when she visited. That house was the only thing that ever felt like mine, even though it never was. The betrayal happened the summer I turned 21. I came home for college for break. The driveway was empty, the front door was locked, and a "for sale" sign was in the yard. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I called my mom. She answered on the second ring. "Oh," she said casually, "you're back already? What's going on? Why is the house for sale?" She sighed like I'd interrupted her day. "We sold it." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean, you sold it?" My dad's voice came through the phone in the background. "Tell her she'll figure it out." My mother laughed. "We're moving to Nevada," she said. "This place was holding us back." "You sold my home," I whispered. "Zoey," she said, her voice sharpening, "it was never your home." That sentence stayed with me for years. They didn't even let me come inside. The new owners had already changed the locks. My parents had packed my belongings into 3 plastic storage bins and left them in the garage, like I was a tenant who didn't pay rent, like I was nothing. I sat in my car that day for almost an hour. I remember gripping the steering wheel so hard my hands hurt. I remember staring at the lemon tree in the backyard through the side fence. I remember realizing something for the first time. I wasn't sad. I was done. My parents moved to Henderson, Nevada, and stopped calling. No birthday messages, no holidays, no checking in. It was like I'd been removed from their lives as easily as they sold the house. And honestly, that part didn't hurt as much as the laughing, because a few months later, my cousin sent me a video from Facebook. My parents were doing a New Beginnings toast in their new kitchen. My dad raised a glass and said, "Best decision we ever made." My mother added, "Freedom at last." Then they laughed. That laugh became the sound that lived in my head. I finished college without them, worked 2 jobs, lived in a tiny apartment with flickering lights and thin walls. I stopped expecting anything from anyone, and that's when life changed. Not because of luck, because of someone I barely knew. My grandmother's sister, Evelyn, passed away. I had only met her 3 times growing up. She lived in Scottsdale and owned several properties. My parents always said she was strange and difficult. At the funeral, a lawyer approached me. "Are you Zoey Martinez?" "Yes," I said. He handed me a card. "You should come to my office tomorrow. There's something you need to hear." The next day, I sat across from him in a quiet office. He opened a folder. "Evelyn left you something in her will." I expected maybe a few $1,000s. Instead, he said something that made the room feel smaller. "You are now the majority owner of Martinez Property Holdings." I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" He slid documents across the desk.
The company owned multiple rental homes, commercial buildings, and one developing neighborhood project. My hands started shaking. Then he said the sentence that changed everything. The neighborhood development includes your former childhood street. And for the first time in 5 years, I smiled. When the lawyer finishes explaining the documents, I don't speak for a full minute. My childhood street, owned by the company now under my name, not rented, not partially controlled, owned. I take a slow breath. Do my parents know? He adjusts his glasses. The development purchase finalized 2 years ago. At the time, ownership was under Evelyn's direct control. She never informed tenants personally. Tenants. That word hits differently. Are they renting? I ask. Yes, he says. The Henderson property and the Mesa home were both refinanced after purchase. Your parents signed long-term lease agreements when they moved back to Arizona last year. I blink. They moved back? He nods. Financial trouble, from what I understand. I almost laugh. They sold the house for freedom, and now they're renting on the same street. They don't even realize who owns it. I leave the office with a leather folder pressed against my chest. For the first time in years, I don't feel powerless, but I also don't act impulsively. Revenge isn't about screaming. It's about timing. I spend the next 3 months learning everything about Martinez property holdings, balance sheets, tenant contracts, maintenance records, city zoning approvals. The company manager, a calm woman named Danielle Brooks, has been running daily operations for years. When we first meet in Scottsdale, she studies me carefully. You're young, she says honestly. I know. She sure you want to take active control? Yes, I reply. I want to understand every property we own. She nods slowly. Then I'll teach you. And she does. She shows me how rental increases work legally, how lease renewals are structured, how development plans can shift timelines. Nothing illegal, nothing reckless, just business, clean, precise, professional. At night, I sit in my apartment staring at photos of my childhood home pulled from the company database. Same beige exterior, same lemon tree, different ownership history. Mine. I don't want to destroy them. That would be too easy. I want them to understand. I want them to feel what it's like to have the ground shift quietly beneath their feet, to realize something important has changed and they can't control it. Danielle calls me one afternoon.
The Mesa cul-de-sac is up for redevelopment discussion next quarter, she says. We're considering upgrades, structural inspections, possible buyout offers. My heart beats faster. Send me the inspection schedule, I say calmly. When she hangs up, I sit very still. 5 years ago, they laughed about selling my home. Now, I hold the paperwork that decides whether they stay or leave. But I don't move yet, because revenge, when done right, isn't loud. It's patient, and I've waited long enough. The inspection day arrives on a Tuesday morning. I park 2 houses down from my childhood home and sit in the driver's seat for a moment, watching the quiet street. Nothing looks different, but everything feels different. 5 years ago, I stood here with nowhere to go. Now I'm here with authority. A white company SUV pulls up behind me. Daniel steps out with a clipboard and gives me a small nod. She understands this visit isn't just business. Ready? She asks. Yes, I say. My voice is steady. Inside, my chest feels like a drum. We walk up the driveway together. The same driveway, the same front door. Daniel knocks. Footsteps approach from inside. My mother opens the door. For a second, she doesn't recognize me. Her eyes move from Daniel's clipboard to my face, confused. Then recognition hits. Her expression tightens. Joey? My father appears behind her. He looks older than I remember. Thinner. Tired. What's going on? He asks. Daniel speaks professionally. Good morning. We're here for the scheduled property inspection. My dad frowns. Inspection? We didn't request one. It's part of the neighborhood redevelopment review, Daniel explains. I step forward slightly. My mother's eyes lock onto mine, searching for something. Anger, maybe, or weakness. She doesn't find either. They let us inside. The living room still smells like the same cheap air freshener my mom always used. The beige couch is still there. The walls are repainted, but I know every corner of the space. Daniel walks through the house, checking windows, ceilings, plumbing notes. I stay near the kitchen. My father crosses his arms. You work for this company now? He asks. In a way, I say. My mother forces a small laugh. Well, life works out, I guess. I don't respond, because the moment isn't here yet. Daniel finishes the inspection and joins us in the living room. Thank you for your time, she says. There will be follow-up communication regarding lease adjustments and development planning. My dad looks annoyed. Adjustments? I finally reach into my bag. The same leather folder from the lawyer's office. My hands don't shake anymore. I place the documents on the coffee table. My mother looks down at them, then back at me. What is this? My voice is calm. Ownership records. My father scoffs. Ownership of what? I slide the top page forward. The property management company and the development contract for this neighborhood. Silence fills the room. My mother reads the name on the page, then reads it again. Her face turns pale. That's not funny, she whispers. It's not a joke, I reply. My father grabs the papers, scanning quickly. His jaw tightens. You're saying you own this place? I meet his eyes. Yes. The room feels smaller now. He sets the papers down slowly. My mother sinks into the couch. No, she says quietly. No, that's not possible. But it is, and they know it. 5 years ago, they stood on the winning side of a locked door. Now they're standing on the other side. And for the first time in my life, they don't control what happens next. I watch my parents struggle to process it. My mother's fingers clutch the edge of the couch like it's a lifeline. My father paces, muttering under his breath. I let them flounder for a moment, just long enough to feel the weight of their own choices. This can't be real, my dad says finally, looking at me with disbelief. We sold it. We moved on. How did this happen? I sit on the armrest of the couch, calm, almost casual. Your greed didn't just cost me my home, it blinded you. But it didn't blind my grandmother. She trusted me, and I proved her right. My mother gapes. Zoey, you can't just... I raise a hand. I'm not taking it away from you. You're still living here, but now it's under my rules. They exchange a worried glance. I continue, letting my words land slowly. Lease agreements, rent adjustments, renovation approvals. Every decision goes through me now. If you want to stay, you'll follow the rules. My father's jaw tightens. You're merciless. I smile softly, but there's steel behind it. I'm just fair. I'm giving you a taste of what it feels like to have no control over what you thought was yours. You laughed at me once. Now I decide. Silence fills the room. My mother's eyes well with tears, not the sympathetic kind, but the realization that her old power has vanished. My father finally stops pacing and sits in the recliner I once tried to avoid because he claimed it was mine to straighten. 5 years, I say. You laughed when I was gone. 5 years I worked, learned, and waited, and now I tap the folder on the coffee table. This belongs to me. They look down at the documents again. The weight of their choices hits harder than any argument or shouting match ever could. My mother's lip trembles. Zoey, no apologies accepted. Apologies don't undo years of dismissal. Actions do. And actions are what I'm giving you, starting with fairness, structure, and boundaries. My dad exhales sharply, finally meeting my eyes. I didn't realize you had the guts, the vision. I lean forward. You didn't raise me for courage or vision. You raised me for obedience, but I broke that mold. I became someone you could never predict, someone you underestimated until now. For a long moment they sit quietly, digesting the reality that the tables have turned. I stand, walking toward the door. Daniel waits outside, nodding at me. I turn back once. This isn't revenge for revenge's sake. It's for me and for every memory you thought you could erase. I owned my life long before I owned this company. Now you just get to live in it. I leave the house and step into the sunlight. The lemon tree sways in the breeze. Unchanged, timeless. It survived neglect, heat, and storms, just like me. And as I drive away, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Closure. Not because I made them pay,
but because I finally reclaimed what was mine all along.